Well, welcome back. This is Jeff Stanislaw, your host of the Let's Go Low show here on AM 820 and across the globe, whoever's catching this on the social channels. I am very pleased today. We got Mike Hicks, former 40-year veteran of the golf industry, and his associates, probably another 30 or 40 years. So we got 80 years of combined wonderful golf stories to talk about today. We have Jim Grunberg, who is with us today. And Jim is the CEO of Seymour Putters. And Mike was on the Payne Stewart's bag for 13 years. So these two guys together have such a tremendous amount of history, and we're really pleased to be a part of it. Thanks for joining the show today, gentlemen.
Glad to be here, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, looking forward to it.
So, I mean, just, take us back, maybe a little bit about, kind of your involvement in Seymour, when you got involved. And then even like maybe, tell us a little story about meeting Mike and working with Mike and, getting the Seymour putter in Payne Stewart's hands.
That sounds great. I mean, I'll start off in actually, Jason Polian and I had been in the golf industry working together actually in the 1990s with the Odyssey golf brand as a startup, and took it all the way on up. And then by the end of that decade, around 1999, actually, when Payne Stewart probably put on the greatest putting performance in major championship history, we were both moving away from Odyssey after it had been part of the Callaway system for a while, and things were reshuffled. And so fast forward to 2006, we really wanted to get back into the putting business after being away with non-compete agreements and what have you. And we just did some research, and we could not believe how many great putters were using a Seymour putter, even though the brand was really not real widely known or recognized. But we went back to Payne Stewart and that putting performance, and a couple of young guys on the PGA Tour. We did our research, and in our research, of course, Mike Hicks came up, and Pat O'Brien, who had been sort of the putting instructor to Zach Johnson and Vaughn Taylor, and a friend of Mike's and Payne's. So we just went and did our research and talked to Mike, and it was very compelling, the story about the Seymour putter. I'll let Mike tell it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we in 1999, we played first four tournaments of the year and played great tee to green, had putted terrible. And Arnie Cunningham, who's a longtime rep on the PGA Tour with all kinds of brands, he'd gotten the Seymour putter from the guy that invented it, and showed it to Payne. And Payne said, Hicksy, just throw it in the bag and we'll mess around with it after our 9-hole practice round. So long story short, this was on Wednesday before the tournament started on Thursday at Pebble Beach. We went down to the putting green at Pebble Beach, putted for a couple hours, and he looked at me and says, well, what do you think? And I said, well, you can't putt any worse. May as well give it a try. And lo and behold, he wins the tournament.
Right. That's
and went on to have his best putting year of his life.
That's an amazing story. So, tell us a little bit about, so Seymour, you came in 99 and or with Payne, and it came back to kind of his glory. And then you worked with Zach Johnson as well on his bag. And, there's lots of putters to choose from. And just, quickly, what differentiates the Seymour putter from some of the other ones out there, back then? And then we're going to talk a little bit about what you got going on now.
Well, just as somebody who was doing the research on whether or not we should acquire this brand, because really the product in 2006, it didn't really have much distribution. There's really nowhere to be found. And yet we went to the tour, and there was Zach Johnson using it. There was Vaughn Taylor using it. They were two of the best putters on tour. They were actually going to the Ryder Cup in 2006 as rookies, and based on the strength of their putting. And then we went back and looked at, Payne Stewart's putting stats, and all of a sudden he led the tour in putting. There are two putting statistics number of putts and putts per green in regulation. And Payne finished first in one of them and second in the other one. So overall, he was the best putter on tour in '99. It wasn't just the great victory at the U.S. Open. So we realized there had to be something there. There's no coincidence. These are the only 3 players that are using Seymour putters on tour, and they've all led the tour in putting. And in talking to Mike and Pat O'Brien, they were very insistent that this is not just a putter, but it's a putting system as well. It literally is a putter that sort of has an owner's manual. And if you read the owner's manual, you'll find out you can do a lot of things because of the design of this putter. It gives you feedback. And I'll let Mike say the rest, but that's what jumped out to us, was the fact that everybody was adamant about, hey, this Seymour putter is a putter that it will make you better because of this and this. And I'll let Mike talk about that.
Yeah, Mike, we got Mike Hicks, former caddy for Payne Stewart. And we're talking with Jim Grunberg, CEO of Seymour Putters, about, the story and the legacy and the history of Seymour. And again, Mike, go ahead, tell us a little bit more about what the instructions for the Seymour putter.
So Payne was a guy, field player, and especially with the putter. I've seen him go with the heel up, hands real high, to the toe up, hands real low. In the course of one round, he would do whatever to make putts. He wasn't scared to change it up in mid round. And what the Seymour did for him was make him set up the same way every time. So you hide the red dot, your face is square to your target. If you see red, you're either open or closed at address. So what it did, it made him set up consistently every time. And what the Seymour also does is it puts your hands in the proper position. You get a putter that's got offset, or you see a lot of people with a forward press, which opens the face, de-lofts the putter. The Seymour puts your hands in the correct position. And like I said, it makes you set up the same way every time. So that's what it did for Payne. It made him consistent in his setup. And that's really the system behind the Seymour putter, is the consistency in your setup, and the consistency of where your face is aiming.
Fantastic. This is Jeff Stanislaw, and you're listening to Let's Go Low show here on AM 820. Our special guest today is Jim Grunberg, from the CEO of Seymour Putters, and Mike Hicks, former caddy for Payne Stewart. Gentlemen, again, thank you. You mentioned this red dot, Mike, and there's actually a technology behind it. Basically the tech is the rifle scope technology. Jim, can you maybe, tell us how that started? And that's like a big differentiator for your brand.
Well, it is. It's really the only putter that has a built-in alignment or aiming system that's as precise as ours is. And you use the black bottom portion of the shaft, and then you get that in alignment and cover the red dot, and all of a sudden you have 2 points, so you have a perfect line. And then if you do that, your eyes, your shoulders, your hips, you have to be square at setup. So the 2 most important factors in making more putts is, number one, you want to be aimed where you want to be aimed. You want to make sure that you are in perfect alignment to your intended target line. And the second one, which we haven't talked as much about over the years, is the fact that the straight center shaft design is a very low to zero torque concept, meaning that the dynamics of the putter are naturally built in to return to square with light grip pressure. If you get out of the way and let the putter swing, it returns back to square. So the Seymour hit both of those points. It sets you up square to your target line, and then the design of the putter delivers it with a very simple stroke back to square. So if you don't do both of those things, you're not going to make putts. And 25 years later, all of a sudden the big buzz in the whole golf world is all of a sudden zero and low torque putters, like they just got invented. And yet Seymour has, for 25 years, has had fans at every level of the game of golf, whether it's on tour or people just starting the game, that look at that technology and they're like, no, this is very simple. It eliminates variables. I hide the red dot. and then the putter returns to square. So people now call it zero torque, they call it whatever, but we've always said a Seymour putter is face balanced at impact, meaning that the putter design will assist you in returning the putter to square. Don't fight it, don't manipulate it, just let it swing naturally. So that's the coolest thing is 25 years later, the entire world has come to what we've known all that time.
Well, you're just the early adopters of the technology. Jeff Stanislaw, you're listening to Let's Go Low here on AM 820. We're talking with Mike Hicks, former Payne Stewart's former caddy. And we're also talking with Jim Grunberg, the CEO of Seymour Putter. Now, I just spent some time on your website, and it's seymour.com, SEEMORE.com. And I had been familiar with the brand a little bit from Payne and the championship, what he played, but I never have owned one. So Mike's going to bring down to Florida some putters for me to check out. And I am going to, just looking at the technology, it makes so much sense. Hide the red dot, you're perfectly square. It's like, why doesn't everybody have that? Because it just eliminates one of the biggest factors in putting. So I commend it. It's called Rifle Scope Technology. And you guys, like you said, you were 25 years ahead of the industry. So we got to talk a little bit about like Lab and coming out of nowhere to the market share and the penetration that they had. Just kind of like, what are your thoughts on it? And, where does it go? And I know Seymour's hard at work here, bringing some new putters to market. Can you tell us a little bit about your vision and your path after you kind of, talk about Lab?
Yeah, I mean, I think for a long, long time, we were the only fish in this pond, right? We had the pond to ourselves of straight center shaft. And, we were constantly fighting the pushback from players and retailers and instructors who would say, yeah, I mean, everybody I know who has a Seymour seems to love it, but I don't understand if this was such a great concept, why doesn't everybody make a straight center shaft putter, right? So it's tough when you're trying to sell an idea that's so far ahead of its time that nobody else is doing it. And so all of a sudden, as you said, Lab Golf probably took the first big step. They created a device, which, the device isn't the be all and end all, but it was a cool device in showing people the benefits of a putter that sort of stays square. Now, theirs is very rigged to make sure that their particular putter, which has some angles in it, it has forward press, it has a grip that's bent, so it has a couple of different angles, but the concept is the right concept. Now, it works in a vacuum, right? So you swing this revealer and the putter stays square. But that's a very nice selling and marketing trick. But you know what? It's unlocked the entire universe of putting to where people are saying, oh, I better take a closer look at my putter. It does account for the most strokes. And here's an expensive new putter with a story that I've never heard before. So unfortunately, even though we're the pioneers and we've been at this for a long time, from a marketing perspective, we're now faced with trying to get our story now heard in a world where not just Lab has broken through, but now TaylorMade and Odyssey and Ping and everybody else and their brother is jumping on this straight center shaft, low torque design. And so, we just simply have to sit back and as much as we can, we have to remind people we've been doing this for 25 years and we've gone through many iterations, but our product line right now is modern, it's forgiving, it looks beautiful, and it does all those great things that people are saying. So yes, right. we agree with the benefits of what Lab talks about, but you don't have to have a Lab putter to do that. In fact, we have a variety of great looking putters that offer zero and low torque options. And the one thing we do have is we have that red dot technology, the rifle scope technology, which other people don't. So some of the companies with this zero torque, to get there, they have a forward press, and so they have the angles that Mike talked about, which complicate things. They don't reduce variables; they add variables back in. So I love the fact that Lab has broken through. I mean, all hats off to them. And now all the people that are buying Lab putters and buying other zero torque putters, once they learn about a Seymour, have another putter now to try and to move towards as their next putter because of the alignment benefits that we have. And we're vertical. We do some things that are even simpler than those other guys. And it's really, putting's complicated. So if you can eliminate variables, as you said, Jeff, you're going to be ahead of the game.
Yeah, this is Jeff Stanislow. You're listening to Let's Go Low here on AM 820 in Tampa, and then on podcasts and other social media channels across the globe. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. You mentioned a lot of good things there in that conversation, Jim, and that was Jim Grunberg, the CEO of Seymour. Mike Hicks from Payne Stewart's Bag. Mike, what do you kind of see when you line up a Seymour putter? Is that your go-to? Is that your daily when you're out playing?
Well, yeah. I mean, I know I've got to be. My head position's always the same. I'm an inch in front of my belly button. So when I see red, it's because my head position's out of whack. So, like I said, I mean, I've been using this thing since, I've been using it for 26 years. So, I mean, it's pretty ingrained in my brain now. So,
Sure.
But look, half the battle is aiming properly, right? I mean, if you're not aiming right, you've got to manipulate the putter head. If you're aiming left, you got to push. If you're aiming right, you got to pull to make the putt. And some days you're gonna push or pull pretty good, and you're gonna make some putts. But day in, day out, not gonna happen. To be consistent. So, look, this is the only putter in the world that has a system. Only one.
Yeah.
The there's no other brand that has a system and shows you actually the correct way to putt.
Yeah. So Mike Hicks, I appreciate that. And we got to wrap up here in a minute, but I'd love to talk with you guys both a little bit more on another episode and of the show here. Let's Go Low, and dive into kind of some of the things like what's out there that can help people learn to putt so they're not pushing and not pulling, so they get this perfect stuff that's going on.
So the perfect marriage, I believe, and I think we're experimenting with that actually today as we speak, is the a brain trainer called the Arc Master. We're calling it a brain trainer, not a training aid, because it creates muscle memory. So, and you combine hiding the rifle scope technology with the Arc Master, you can perfect a putting stroke without question. Now,
Yes.
can we read the green for you, or have the correct speed? That's up to you to learn.
Well,
But the combination of the Arc Master and the Seymour putter can turn your stroke into perfection.
Well, I'd love to work with you guys both on more of this type of stuff when we comes down it. And Mike is joining me on the show on a regular basis called the Caddy Corner, so we can bring you back, Jim, if that's okay with you. Talk a little bit more about the Arc Master, talk a little bit more about the Seymour putter and the rifle scope technology. And I appreciate both your time. This is Jeff Stanislow, and you've listened to the Let's Go Low show here on AM 820. Again, Jim Grunberg, CEO of Seymour Putters, and Mike Hicks, former caddy for Payne Stewart. I appreciate both your time and have a great day.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, Jeff. Thanks, buddy.
Everybody, this is Jeff Stanislow, your host of Let's Go Low. We are talking about golf today, and we're talking about golf manufacturing. And we have the opportunity to talk to Andrew Doig, who is the general manager of Garson Golf. Andrew and I have been talking a little bit here recently about the industry, and I invited him to come to the show because I think he's got a lot of things to talk about. Andrew, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, really appreciate you having me on. Exciting time in golf right now. So great to kind of speak with you today, kick off the golf season, and tell you a little bit more about Garson.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So I've known about Garson for a while, and when I started Golfers Unite, first thing I did is I went to the PGA show, and I saw you guys were there, and I got a chance to check out some of the new grips and talk to one of the salespeople. They were very knowledgeable on your product, which is expected to be so. And I ended up buying a Garson grip for my older Ping Hepler putter that I still sport because it was time for a new one, and I use a kind of a forward press, arm lock putter. But so we got a chance to talk since then, and tell us a little bit more. How'd the PGA show go for you this year?
It was a fantastic show for us. This was the first time that we've kind of staked the flag of the PGA show with Garson being in its first full booth. We did a lot of pre-marketing and efforts to kind of bring people to the show and have people come out and see our product line. I think what's most exciting about this is that we're in the PGA show. We're seeing industry professionals, we're seeing players, we're seeing people that kind of really own the industry from that standpoint, and we're seeing more people more than ever pay attention to the performance aspects of products, right? And that's kind of where we live with Garson. Is how can we help you putt better, knowing that your hands are attached to the club in some way. That grip is what kind of bridges that gap from you to the club head. And the new product we have coming out will receive fantastically, and we're kind of really kicking off the year on a strong foot to go into 2026.
So we're talking with Andrew Doick, GM at Garson Golf. Garson's been around a long time, and has weathered many ups and downs with the whole golf industry. And you mentioned something that is pretty neat about, like, every golf club is touched by the golfer, and you guys are in a kinetic kind of connection to the person's club. And you mentioned that you have some new technology or some new grips that you guys are bringing to market at the PGA show. Tell us a little bit about the grips you got going and what's kind of different about them.
Yeah, for sure. Golfers obsess over club heads and shafts and balls and all that selection that they go through with setting up their golf game. But that part that they maybe overlook the most are grips and the part that you actually touch onto the club. So this year, along with last year, we started really developing our product line, enhancing textures, really focusing on the shape of our product and how they affect your putting performance. So this year, one of our newer products we came out with was a longer grip. It's our Quad Tour Pistol Pro 15 in a more slender, lighter fashion. A lot of the wave of kind of putters right now are heavy heads, longer putter shafts. So we wanted to come out with a grip that was light in nature, that allows you to continue to feel the putter head without counteracting too much weight overall in your setup. So extremely well received. We're launching this product live in middle of March, right after the Players Championship, where it's going to be available to the public. I'm really excited to kind of bring this new grip to market.
Wonderful. Andrew Doick from Garson Golf. And Andrew, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you a little bit about the heritage of Garson Golf and Bernard Garson, the founder. Now, we were talking a little bit. He's on tour and he goes like to all these events, throughout the year, so he can touch and feel and talk to the players and get them dialed in. Maybe talk a little bit about his commitment to the industry, and then what he does when he goes out on at a tour event.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing for Bernard is how he splits up his time amongst the tours, right? So he's out on the PGA Tour, LPGA, Korn Ferry, Epson Tour. He'll go to Q School events. Wherever there are players using Garson putter grips, he wants to be there to support them, being able to help them with their putter setup, making sure they have the right grip. And if they need a new grip for their event, he's there to help facilitate that. Along with introducing the grips to other players out in the professional spectrum. So it's really important that not only we do what we're doing from a B2B standpoint or even from an e-com standpoint, but how do we make sure the best golfers in the world are exposed to the best products? We believe that Garson provides the best putting performance for these players, and him being out on tour and making sure we're getting that exposure is super important to the brand and the business.
That's really interesting. This is Andrew Doick from the general manager at Garson Golf, and it's not too often you see a company like Garson, who is known throughout the industry and a long history of providing great products, but to have its owner and CEO actually just want to be the one that is out in the field, touching and feeling and getting these pro players and things set up. That tells me that he just cares a lot about his product.
Absolutely. I think if you're going to describe Bernie in one way, it's passion, right? And it's passion for the game and being able to take his knowledge and the products he's created and then bring them to golfers at all levels, right? And obviously his focus and his time is spent a lot on tour, but we also do events at local clubs, and we do fitting events, and we make sure we get to all these other facilities where we can expose as many golfers as we can to our product line. Because we know once you get your hands on our grips, you're going to feel the difference, as we like to say, of how it affects your start line, your setup, your ability to roll that ball into the hole more often by getting set up with our products.
Fantastic. Andrew Doick, GM Garson Golf here. You're listening to Jeff Stanislaw on Let's Go Low, powered by Golfers Unite. So talking about like advanced grips and what have you, and materials got to be an important component of what you do in not only design and angles and things of that nature, but, talk to me a little bit about the materials that you guys use at Garson. And, is it different than what other people use?
Very similar types of materials throughout the grip industry. But what we focus a lot on are the texture and the quality and the durability of those materials. We'll make one, if not two trips out to the factories each year to kind of go through our quality control efforts, our product design efforts, to making sure that the textures are meeting our expectations. They create the feel that we're trying to create for the player, whether that's a smoother, water-resistant type of feel, or we're looking for a tacky, grippy, grainy type of feel with that grip, or if we're trying to match up something with a certain type of material, such as a TPU rubber, kind of that stock OEM style grip that you see on a lot of putters. So I would kind of look at those aspects in terms of durability, feel, texture within the materials that we use, and making sure they last. It would be great if our putters had to be regripped every 2 months, but we know that if they can last for a full golf season, if not more, we're doing our job of getting a good product in your hands.
Fantastic. Andrew from Garson Golf. We talked a lot about putter grips and stuff like that, but you do full set grips, right? As well for the rest of the irons?
We offer a customizable option for full swing grips. Nothing in terms of our stock portfolio. But one of our unique characteristics that we have here is a program called My Garson, where we allow, whether it's clubs or it's a putter brand or a tournament, to fully brand their event on our products. This is a fantastic opportunity to kind of set up something unique for you and your event or your club. And we do that for putter grips, and we do that for full swing grips as well. So that option is out there, and it's a program called My Garson. You can find that information on our site, and you can reach out to us if you're looking to create your own custom products.
And that site is garsongolf.com, www.garsongolf.com. You can check it out. So Andrew Doick, GM at Garson Golf, let's talk a little bit about the industry and where things are going. When I was at the PGA show, we saw a pretty large shift committed to the influencer world and to the golf simulator world. What are your thoughts on that, and what is Garson looking to do to prepare for it, the type of, I guess, new face in golf?
Sure. Kind of speaking on both two different angles here. If we look at the influencer models that have come out, we're just seeing this as a shift in the marketing efforts that happen in our industry. So often you would look at print publications, and you would look to do on-site events and other activations where you can get in front of as many golfers as possible. Now that we're seeing that trend of golfers really honing into whether it's social media, it's long form video, it's avenues where they're seeing the digital aspect of the game portrayed. And it's just a new focus in marketing efforts for brands like us. We've dipped our toe into that water. We're seeing some success in certain avenues of it, and then we're seeing some things that are shortfalls for us. So as we find our way through that, we're finding a good mix of whether that's the people and agencies we work with, and the people that can also really stand behind the brand and speak to it in the positive nature that we believe it creates for putting. And then when you look at it from a technology standpoint, the simulator evolution that's happening and the technology evolution, we try to tie into that as much as possible, having our products tested on all different types of equipment, whether in the putting sphere, such as SAM and Quintec, but also looking at TrackMan and Foresight and all those other aspects of technology. If we can get our putter grips to put on putters and be tested, we're constantly seeing positive results on all these forms of technology when our grips are put into place in the putting environment.
Excellent, excellent. Andrew Doak, the general manager of Garson Golf. Thanks again for joining us here today. We got a few more minutes. We're going to talk a little bit about players and being on the PGA Tour. You're listening to Jeff Stanislaw from Let's Go Low, powered by Golfers Unite here on AM 820 in Tampa. So what does it take to get your grips on a tour professional? And, what does that look like? It seems like, there's other organizations and companies that have done it and done a great job. You guys are there, obviously. Sometimes you're there behind the scenes. On a putter, your grip is on a putter that doesn't have Garson all over it. Tell us just a little bit briefly on kind of the industry and behind the scenes of bringing your wonderful product to market at the pro tour level.
Sure. I think there's kind of two different avenues there to kind of discuss. And I would like on the player side of things, we look for players who genuinely believe what Garson helps them do in the putting environment. If it doesn't help their performance, we don't want it in your bag. But what we're constantly seeing is there's a grip in our lineup that fits everybody and that can help them with the aspects of their putting game. For us to kind of get a putter in somebody's bag, we're not somebody that is throwing money at the scenario, right? We're not trying to convince someone to use our product from a pay to play scenario. We kind of look at it the opposite, right? If we're able to get someone to play our products and we can support them from a pay scenario, that's a better fit for us because we know someone's truly standing behind the performance of our brand. And when you look at it from a kind of how we tie our products in with other golf manufacturers, it's an avenue where we're exploring the equipment that they're making, the putters that match up with the grip styles that we have, and making sure we're optimizing that performance. And then we're allowing them to create and design their brand on top of our grips. What we like to say is that our grips can be a blank canvas for somebody else's brand, knowing you take the chassis of a Garson grip and be able to create something that's unique to you.
Fantastic. Well, Andrew Doak, thanks for joining us today. Andrew, the GM of Garson Golf, dropping down a lot of great knowledge here in the golf industry, talking about grips and their business. You can go to www.garsongolf.com anytime. Learn more about their great, fantastic grips that they bring to market. Andrew, we appreciate your time here on Let's Go Low.
Jeff, thanks for having us. We look forward to seeing you at the Valspar this year.
Yes, fantastic. I will be there. All right. Take care, Andrew.
Great. Thank you.